us observers have to keep doing is to submit declarations to the INC secretary, so that they can take into consideration, they can first be aware that we also, even though we are not participating actively to the subcommittee's meetings, we have ideas that we need to voice out, and so that they can take them into consideration when they're working on the elaboration of the treaty. Demonstrations, protest is also a voice that we're raising, and then we participate when we were here in some of the demonstrations. If you go outside, you see a big banner, a yellow big banner right now across the bridge. And then a couple of days ago, we also worked on, we participated in this first demonstrations. I don't know if some people noticed that there was a meeting between the chairman and the African organizations early this afternoon. We submitted a declaration earlier when we came to voice our concern, related to the fact that we are at an international negotiation conference, but it seems like they're giving voice to one particular language, and yet we all here, and we know that we have Spanish-speaking countries representative, we have people from Portuguese-speaking countries, Francophones, Indians, Asians, all over the place. But the privilege that is given to one language is pretty much excluding somehow others' contributions. So it is very important that they take that into consideration, at least provide translations or services to all the different organizations, so that everybody can voice their concerns, share their ideas in order to put together a better instrument. So the lobby is very important. We also talk about how us observers in our declaration, how us observers can participate actively to the negotiations. And then one way of doing it is to put in place at least a day where observers and then officials, government officials, who can come together and share their views, and then harmonize their positions. And then we, as grassroots organizations, can share with our representative, official representative, what we witness and what we live on the ground, so they can take that into consideration for a better instrument. So that lobby is important. And then the declaration that we submitted, we are sure that other delegations also did it. That is what led to the chairman to come this afternoon, early this afternoon, to address that. So lobbying is very important. It is also important that I mentioned it before, that we work closely and then we submit our concerns to the secretary, so they know that they have to take into consideration, the multi-linguistic aspect or nature of the group that is here negotiating. We are also very attached to the one voice approach. So if an African country is asking for, or is a candidate to host a UN event or conference, we want to make sure that we advocate for that. And it's very important that we voiced that already to our representative, that it is very important that they let us know, as observers, we can also have some relations and then work on them. So if they are intending to ask for or to submit their candidacy to host the next ministry meetings, that we are aware of it, and then whatever we can do to support them, we move as one voice to do that. If there is a conflict between two countries that want to host it, we can also, do something and then share with them, our concern and see how we can manage and then negotiate with one country or another and then move forward as one continent and as one people. The fundraising is also a very important aspect of this negotiation. If you see the Western representative, you can tell that a lot of money have been put in, their representation here. Other countries, because we don't have, the means to bring in 100 people or 70 people, you have some countries who have only 1 delegate, 2 delegate, 3 delegate. We want to make sure that the United Nations understand that the work that we're doing is very important. It is a work that is that build a connection, a bridge between our leaders who are not on the ground all the time, and in us who are living in the poor places, who live the direct impact of the plastic pollution on our day-to-day life. So it is very important that we advocate for funds so that civil society organizations or observers can be supported and then have a very significant representation in the process. The last part is the fact that we want to make sure that the main reason why we call for this meeting is like, we came as observers from different part of the global south, and then we're acting in isolation. There are many people that I didn't know before. We walk past each other, but we're here for the same goals. And then if we don't get together as an alliance, and then we put together a strong proposal and that we can advocate for and then help our officials to make African count, or the global south count, we're going to end up with a treaty in our disadvantage. We're going to have to deal with fees that our people who are already poor will have to take on when we are the one who produce less plastic pollution in this world. So it is very important that we take that into consideration and then build up this alliance, continue beyond these meetings, so we can have a very strong representative of the civil society in the process.
Merci beaucoup. Alors pour la dernière partie, une chose est d'élaborer l'instrument, l'autre chose est de penser aussi à sa mise en œuvre et comment est-ce que nous allons s'y prendre pour que ça soit vraiment concrète ou bien que ça soit concrétisé. Et la collaboration avec le pouvoir public est toujours d'actualité, est une stratégie fondamentale chez nous. Et c'est de voir aussi au niveau de chaque pouvoir public du pays, du continent, il y a des lois qui sont élaborées au niveau local qu'il faut prendre aussi en compte. Au même moment, c'est de voir aussi l'instrument, les lois qui sont déjà introduites dans l'instrument, comment est-ce que nous devons vulgariser ces lois-là. Et donc, nous avons pensé déjà à vulgariser l'instrument juridique de cet instrument qui est vraiment contraignant. Ensuite, collaborer avec les ONG. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle nous sommes ici. Nous seuls ne pouvons pas faire, ce n'est pas une affaire d'une seule ONG, c'est l'affaire de nous tous, puisque ça concerne tout le pays et que nous savons tous comment est-ce que la société civile est influente, comment est-ce que la société civile travaille dans nos différents pays africains. Que ce soit les entreprises, que ce soit la société civile, comme le mot l'indique, c'est le consensus. Et donc, une fois que le document, le traité est signé, le traité est validé, cela veut dire que nous sommes tous d'accord et que nous sommes là maintenant pour travailler, que ce soit avec la société civile, que ce soit avec les entreprises. Ensuite, accélérer les activités de recyclage dans la période transitoire. Nous avons déjà dans notre position. La position, c'est de finir avec le plastique. Mais au même moment, nous sommes conscients aussi qu'il y a une période transitoire que nous devons observer. Et cette période transitoire-là, c'est de faire en sorte que nous puissions l'accélérer et pouvoir consommer déjà ce qui est déjà pollué sur le terrain pour qu'au même moment, on pense aussi à qu'on essaie de promouvoir les produits alternatifs que nous sommes en train de vulgariser. Proposer aux populations des produits alternatifs sains, comme je viens de le dire, biodégradables et encourager leur utilisation. Oui, c'est vrai, il ne faut pas aussi, nous devons être vigilants pour que les pro-plastiques ne disent pas que voilà, nous sommes toujours dans la période transitoire, qu'il faut prolonger, mais de faire en sorte qu'il y ait vraiment une échéance à ça pour que nous puissions vraiment évacuer tout ça. Renforcer l'alliance, c'est ça notre objectif. Plus nous sommes ensemble, plus nous sommes forts. Et dans ces négociations, nous devons vraiment peser. L'Afrique n'est pas le gros producteur de plastique, et cela étant c'est une opportunité pour nous d'anticiper sur les choses pour que nous ne vivons pas ce que les autres continents sont en train de vivre. C'est pourquoi nous devons être solidaires, nous devons être ensemble pour pouvoir prévenir vraiment le danger. Ensuite, participer activement aux activités du suivi de l'INC au niveau international. Oui, nous devons maintenir les caps, nous devons continuer à travailler et voir aussi au niveau international comment est-ce que nous pouvons faire le suivi pour évaluer le niveau de la mise en œuvre de cet instrument. Donc voilà un peu ce que nous proposons qui est autour des trois objectifs que nous venons de présenter ici. Comment est-ce que nous avons commencé, les activités que nous avons menées, comment est-ce que nous pouvons aussi renforcer l'élaboration de cet instrument et comment nous devons penser déjà à sa mise en œuvre. Je vous remercie.
So the final part of the presentation is related to the strategies that we can put together as a global South strategy in the implementation of the instrument. The first thing that we think we have to do is to make sure that first our governments take the right positions and that we support them. Not only we support them by sharing, or making campaign, but we have to make sure that we monitor the execution of this instrument at the local level, but also at the global level. We need to make sure that we evaluate what is been doing on the ground, and then turn in reports and share our observation with our government. The second thing is also try to put together kind of connection between scientifics and then businesses. So as NGOs, we have to make sure that we have within our teams scientific people who can clearly evaluate what is going on, and because we don't have only we have only our passion to take care of our population. That's why we create NGOs. But within our groups, we need to include other people who have different perspectives about the issue. So it's very important that we include scientists, in the group. If you see the delegation of France, they have a huge cohort of scientific that are here. There are more than 15 people. They're all scientists, and they're working with the government to make sure that their view is taken into consideration. We have lawmakers who are following them. So at our level as well, we need to think that way. Include the scientists and then the lawmakers in our organizations so we can have the best of the best advices and share that with our government. We also need to accelerate the recycling process so we cannot be permanently in a transition and then people find excuses to say, oh, it's going to be hard to put an end of plastic to the plastic pollutions, and then we're going to be in a forever and an everlasting transitions. It's always also a need to propose to our people that alternative products are the best, are the healthiest for all of us, and then make sure that they take that into consideration and change their behavior regarding the use of plastic. The most important things, in my opinion, in this is, again, strengthening our alliances. If there is a practice, a better practice that is on in Nigeria, it will be helpful that Togolese people also are aware of it and then implement it. And then vice versa. If it's the same thing happening in Cameroon, if we are in connection, we can keep sharing those ideas with each other. I'm not going to come in and take away your business. All we can do is to, improve the life of our people. So being in an alliance and continue sharing our experiences and practices will be very helpful. And then that is pretty much at the international level what we can do to continue to participate to all these kind of conferences and meetings. Those are some short list of strategies that we can put in place to weigh heavily on the process. Well, that is, I think, the end. We're going to show an example of some actions that we do on the ground in Togo, mobilizing people to create alternative products. So, comme vous voyez, nous faisons avec les moyens du bord. As you can see, we're using the bare minimum resources to do this work, but it's necessary. And then we have to be together and then advocate for ourselves and then seek for funding so that in our various countries we can have the means that needed to promote this instrument. So thank you so much. So we're going to pass the floor to Egypt. Yes. To share
India.
To share the experience of the organization there.
Good evening to you all. I am Dr. N. Nandivarman, representing the Association for Promoting Sustainability in Campuses and Communities. I'm here as accidentally I just interfered in your activities, but of course we met already in I think so INC 3 in Nairobi. Since then we are in good relationship. India is now entering into African Alliance. It's like that. In addition to that, I'm a global challenge lead focal point for UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. Our partner, actually, the Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, how many of you are aware of this? UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, that logo, how many of you have seen this logo? Yeah. Main purpose of this restoration is nearly more than 1 million species are facing extinction in the coming decades. So that is the most important thing. In addition to that, perfect storm. 10 years before, the government, almost all governments warned about this perfect storm. Perfect storm is nothing but the globe will be in need of 50% plus water, 50% plus energy, 50% plus food with the available resources. I don't know how the globe is going to meet all those things. It's happening in the same timeline. By 2030, it is somehow they calculated the things will happen while we near the 2030. So almost we are there towards 2030, some 6 or 7 years to go. Currently, we all know how things are going on and how everything is happening across the globe. And we are here facing this, participating in this INC4. INC4 is focused on plastic. Plastic alone is not the only pollutant that is polluting the globe. It is just a spoon in a bucket. Still, there are many more things happening. And over the past few days in our delegation, we would have witnessed microplastic issues. So microplastic is, I think so we are 20 years backward. Just further from microplastic to nanoplastics. Nanoplastic is giving a lot of trouble and it's interfering in all of our endocrine system and even our DNA. So that is the most important thing to be considered. In addition to that, the climate action, climate change is happening globally, and almost all countries are facing this issue related to climate change. This Decade on Ecosystem Restoration has 12 challenges. Out of this 12 challenge, for 2 challenge I am leading. The challenge 1 is related with cities, the next challenge is related with youth. The cities challenge aims to restore urban spaces in 1,000 cities across the globe, reaching out to universities, colleges, government organizations, botanical gardens, beaches, oceans, industries, municipalities. Another campaign, Green Campuses for Green Cities. The main thing for not only for this cities challenge and youth challenge, it's not a kind of project which will be implemented or a kind of education which will be provided. It is the final outcome would be the attitude change. The attitude change is the most important thing. Without that attitude change, nothing could be achieved across the globe. And for youth challenge, nearly 10,000 schoolyards are to be met with. And 6 nature positive themes. A nature positive campaign is identified to progress this UN Decade on Ecosystem in the cities and for cities and youth challenge. The first theme is related with the Green Campus Initiative. It is fully focused on universities and colleges where the youth, not only youth but also the higher officials will be involved in restoring their campuses, restoring the ecosystem within their campuses. The second one is lab to land environment education, which will be given to all, given to the school children. So from the grassroots level, they will be having a mindset towards the protection of nature and conserving the nature. By default, for example, when it comes to waste management, people are thinking it is just waste management and everybody is advocating for waste management. It is related with managing the waste. It's not like that. If a person is minimizing the generation of waste, he is a conservationist. At the same time, if the person is preventing the entry of waste into the natural resources, he is an environmentalist. So that person is a conservationist and also an environmentalist. So jointly he is doing a service to the nation and also service to the nature. So it is wrongly projected, waste related or waste management practices or resource management. We have to promote this concept, this conscience as an environmentalist or as a conservationist. And the third one is regenerative agriculture. Almost all countries are facing this shortage in foods. Nearly some 40 to 50% of the global land is totally, I don't know how to tell, maybe degradation or otherwise land compaction. Land compaction in the sense land will become slowly, will become harder and harder. So it won't have that soft texture for the trees or plants root to penetrate and move around. So these are the things which need to be considered when it comes to land protection or soil protection. So the third program is related with this one. So the third program is related with regenerative agriculture. In this regenerative agriculture, the main aim is to restore and protect the topsoil, just the 1 inch of topsoil which need to be restored and protected. That 1 inch is that 1 inch sustains the entire global system. Almost all systems on Earth. In addition to that, it is the fundamental for human survival. That topsoil is lacking in various places. And for this World Environment Day theme is related with land restoration, desertification and all these things. So the whole year will be fully focused on restoring the land. Same. The fourth one is related with conserving the faunas of concern. As I mentioned earlier, nearly around 1 million species, both plant and animal, are facing extinction and many will disappear in decades to come. So conserving the fauna of concern in the sense only if they are alive, if they do their job properly, we could survive. If they are not there, they are not doing their job properly, we definitely won't be here. For example, Albert Einstein had already highlighted that if the bee population is totally removed from this world, only 4 days will be there for human to live. That's all. So bees play a major role in protecting us, not only in protecting us, in maintaining the system that protects us. And the fifth one is related with water, wetlands, oceans and aquifer. These are the 3 major water bodies that sustain life on Earth. And those 3 bodies are fully filled with filth, whatever is generated from our end. So that need to be protected. The cooperation is needed between states, between communities, because in one community there will be water resource or some maybe a well or pond or lake, but in other community it won't be there. So there must be some relation between them or cooperation between them first to protect and sustain. The last one is focused on industrial symbiosis and green skill development. Currently, the green skill development is emphasized more. For example, for his PPT, you would have seen how the paper bags